Welcome to my tutorial on how to use parameters for user input in SAS Visual Analytics. A quick disclaimer, I'm completely not affiliated with SAS. I'm just a random SAS VA user making the videos she would have liked to have had while she was learning SAS VA. So I'm assuming you know the basics, you know how to load data, choose categories, make graphs, the basics. What I want to show here is using this dataset that I made up. So it has a day variable, the product category, country, city, profit, and number of sales. So using these variables, I want to show you how you can let users decide which variable to use in a bar chart. Here I just chose two, the country and the product type, and you can see how it changes based on the user's choice. I use the same technique to group a date variable, and I'll explain later some alternatives like hierarchies and when you might want to use those instead. So let's get to it. For category, I'll really walk you through every little action that I do. Don't hesitate to speed it up if you're not interested. Well, I mean, I hope you're interested. Just skip the parts that don't interest you. So I like doing some small modifications. I'll add just a category to start with the example. Profit. There you go. I don't like the y-axis label. And let's change this title, profit by category. I like the Noto Sans font and put in color, but you do you. There we go. So first of all, you have to create a parameter dataset. I do these in Excel generally with the categories that you want to show up in your buttons. They don't come from this dataset. You don't have access, as far as I know, to the variable names. So I create my own dataset with these, and then we're ready to go. Just quick info, I don't know why I've had trouble when I create a dataset like this with only one variable. So now I know some sort of superstitious way I always include at least two. So where to begin? We're gonna make a button bar and then add from, there's a parameter dataset, there's a footshop dataset. So I choose a parameter dataset and I add a category. I just call it the bar chart category. There are missing values because of how the parameter dataset is constructed. So I'll just filter those out. And then I like having titles because how else is a user gonna know what they're supposed to do? So, dear user, what category do you want in your bar chart? Okay, maybe I wouldn't put this exactly, but you get the gist. I'll make the category required. Then I'll create a parameter. Is it parameter or parameter? I never know. And I'll say the current value is product type. And I'll apply it to the button chart with a better name. Forgot to give it a nice name. Bar chart. Sure. All right, now we're almost there. So we have to choose the food shop dataset because we need the country and the product category when we create our calculated item. So our calculated item is based on an if-else, Boolean. So we're telling SAS, oh, by the way, it has to be character. We're telling SAS if the parameter has this value, so if the bar chart parameter equals country, then return the country variable. Otherwise, the product category. So I'll call this bar chart category. Let's see if it worked. I'll change the category in the bar chart. Now we have country, now we have product type. Awesome. That's for the first one. For the second one, there's a bit more preparation needed. Let's save. I didn't mean to, it's just a reflex by now. So first of all, a nice bar chart. You could use a time series graph, but I'll explain why later. In this case at least, I prefer the bar chart. So I want the food shop dataset. I choose day. I choose here number of sales and some small modifications, but I still want to show it because I find it interesting seeing how other people use SAS VA. So for example, here I'll make it vertical. I also use custom titles. Here it's easier to just say number of sales. Then I will remove the y-axis label, maybe the x-axis tick values. I'll make them smaller so that they fit more easily. And I'll tell SAS to rotate the values. I don't like that format for day. Choose another one. Yes, much better. And of course we have to sort it based on the date. Great. I'll give this the same format as the other title. There we go. So now we have our basic graph. How do we get month and year? Well, I just duplicate the date variable actually. And it's not letting me duplicate it because, oh, I think I was selecting multiple variables. And I choose a different format. For example, here I choose year and month, and then you can see instead of 49 distinct values, now it has 2. Of course, I rename it to make more sense. And then I repeat the process for year. There we go. Now we have our three variables, and I guess the rest of the process is pretty much the same as what we did before. So we have to create a new parameter. First, rather, the button. I mean, yeah, you can change the order, but this is how I prefer to do it. I assign the data. So I had already made this variable with these three categories in the parameter dataset, as I said before. And again, no, I'll give it a title. What time category do you want in your graph? Again, I double click on the title. That's also something neat that a colleague showed me. You can change the format of the title. Let's make it required. And let's create a parameter. Yeah, date parameter. I guess I don't need underscores here. With the current value year, then I assign it to this button. Voila. And all that's left is creating a distinct category. A calculated item. This very small difference, well, apart from it being a date, is that you have to use nested ifs, because sadly there, as far as I know, there's no case when type of operator. So you have to say if the date parameter equals year, let's say, then return year, as you might have guessed. Oh, shoot. I used the wrong data set, but now you can see the purpose, the use of having the text version here. So I just click on text, I copy that, and I go to the correct data set, and I try again. Is it gonna work? You never know. With SAS has like the weirdest, SAS VA has the weirdest bugs, like sometimes this doesn't work, but it worked. Nice. So this is, I'll call it period. So where were we? If the date parameter equals year, then I want the year. There's no surprise there. Else I get another if. Date parameter equals, you can do it also in the text version. Let's try the text version. Else if date parameter equals month, return month, else day. Let's see, did I get that right? No, of course not. I think now it's right. Yes, you can toggle between visual and text. Depends on which operators you're using. Sometimes it's worth it. So let's check the preview. So this is the calculated variable that we're trying. I think it's interesting to see it's not the year that it's used, it's the year, it's 1st of January of that year. The same thing goes for month. It's the first day of the month, so it's not exactly the same, It's good enough, I think. And honestly, when it comes to SAS VA especially, that is my motto. If it's good enough, then it's good. So let's save because that's what we do. And yeah, we create our custom variable. We have the parameters. So yeah, all that's left, unless I'm missing something. No, I wasn't missing anything. Yes, so one of the problems that might happen when you do these type of changes is the order. So let's sort period ascending, and thankfully SAS knows that the period ascending is for all the periods. So now October, November, here. Now you might be saying, as I mentioned earlier, why use a bar chart with all the problem sorting and the weird um, labels instead of, as SAS suggests, a time series plot? And I'll show you why. So this looks fine. I mean, this doesn't bother me. But when you go to month and year, I prefer the bar chart. This and something weird is happening here. Oh no. Sorry, I thought it was the date format went wrong. But no, everything's fine. But still prefer the bar chart. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you made it this far, well, kudos to you. Just maybe small last thing. Um, you might also wonder why not use hierarchy. So I know other tutorials show how to create hierarchy, so I won't go in detail, but it's just a type of data item that you can make. And you could have used, not in this data set here, you can, yeah, make variable hierarchies. For example, one that you can make is country, then city. And it's a special type of variable that I'll show you. Now, why didn't I use hierarchies? Well, for the date variable, it can make sense. You have a 2021, 2021, and then you have each month. So this is all SAS made. I didn't make these variables. And then you click on one, and then you have all the days. I didn't use it in this case because I wanted all the dates. Here, as you can see, it just shows me inside every category. So here I only have November, or I can have either November or October, but I can't have both. I mean, I can have the total of both, but not per day, which sometimes you do want. But if you don't, sure, use a hierarchy and save yourself all the trouble. You can also use it, like I said, for country and city. I think there it definitely makes sense. Like you have per country, and then you double click, and now you have per city. Why I didn't use it here is because these two variables are not like neither variables is a subset of the other. They're completely different variables. But sometimes you want to let users choose. So that's how I do it. I know that there's another option in which you can let users choose their variables, and it's much more generic. So let's see. So if you go to options and you go to the report level options, and here you can change how much the level of customization allowed to the viewer. So they can do either simple edits, comprehensive edits, data edits. I'm not sure about the details, but I just checked the non-editing mode and the viewer mode. They can do right click and then replace data. So if they know that this is the category, they say, oh, and I don't want category, I want city. And it changes. So you might wonder why this whole video, and I guess my main answer would be, yeah, it's not very user-friendly. Um, Sometimes you just want to present two options, or sometimes you want to use parameters in different ways. Like I'm sure you can think of many ways to use these, and even for filters, which will probably have to be another video because this one's long enough. So, in any case, this is just another way that I've used actually in several dashboards, and I thought I'd share. And I'll try making more videos on SAS VA's tips and tricks. Let me know if you found it useful, if you have any suggestions on how I can do better, if you want something explained in more detail, or if you think there's a better way to do it. Please share. I'm still learning. So until next time.